Hey, what's going on, Wolfpack? Yours truly, Wolf Millionaire here for another episode of my free YouTube channel. I know it's been a while. I apologize. I've been really busy, but I answered a question that I get a lot, and the question is, what is the better phone for Instagram? Is it iPhone or is it Android? And I go into this in quite some depth in my Instagram video guide series, which you can sign up with at wolfmillionaire.com. And I'm going to answer it today because it's still a relevant question. Both phones are still excellently well suited for Instagram. And yet what I said back in my Instagram video series still holds true. So let's go through this and let's take a quick peek at the pros and cons between iPhone and Android so that you know if you're going to invest or upgrade your phone, specifically with Instagram in mind, whether you're an influencer, a manager, or a, product photographer or photographer period, and you're moving more towards taking shots on your mobile phone, that you can be using the right mobile device to suit your needs. So let's just take a peek through the article. And first off, all these photos in my blog post, and the link is in the little section below the video, are all taken on my Android phone. I used to exclusively use my iPhone when I went traveling, whether it was to car shows or events. And ever since I moved up to an Android Pixel XL, I found myself using the Pixel XL Android device to take photos more than I did my iPhone. And I had been using an iPhone 7 Plus, which is one of the best camera phones out there. So let's take a look and see what we have here. Again, all these photos, this is taken with my Pixel XL, slightly edited for the blues, to bring the blues out and the whites out in an app called Snapseed. It's my favorite app. I walk you through it in my Instagram video series, step by step, so you can follow along. In my blog post, I go through a little bit about my history with Android phones. The very first phone that I ever used to Instagram was my Samsung Galaxy S4. And at the time, I just had one Instagram account with 700 followers, and that was my Mad Whips account. Today, I have over 30 accounts with 18 million followers, and I continue to make a very healthy six-figure Instagram income as an influencer, as an ad manager, as a consultant, all making money on Instagram. You could be doing the exact same thing if you follow my step-by-step course. Now, let's take a look. Let's get down here. Again, this is, a very rich, highly colored photo, slightly edited for the greens and blues and the whites in Snapseed, but otherwise taken on my Android Pixel XL. So the biggest thing that you need to understand is what you're going to use your phone for. Are you going to be using it to take pictures? Are you taking them in the day? Are you taking them at night? Are you going to be taking video? Because these are very pertinent questions that will decide which platform you're going to use. One thing I didn't go over in my blog, which is a very pertinent thing that I want to bring up, is one of the pros that I absolutely love about the iPhone is the pairing of the photo app that I have on my Mac. And so when I take a photo on my iPhone 7 Plus and it syncs when I come home, all of my photos and videos automatically flow into my photo app on my Mac, which makes it very easy to organize, go through, edit, delete, or star. And unfortunately, on my Android device, while I do use the Google Drive to back up my photos, it doesn't have the same clean organization that the Apple experience has. Namely, the biggest thing that I'd love to see is a way to be able to star photos so that when I go through them on my Android phone, that I have the ability to star the best ones. And if you're new to taking photos on your mobile devices as an influencer, the best way to improve your skills is take lots of photos. And so for every photo that you see me ever post, whether it's this one that I took at Christmas at my mom's with my snowy McLaren, this one on a sunny day, this one of some money in my gold Rolex, this one outside during a day that was like minus 20, everything. Even this one here. All these photos that you see are the best of about, anywhere from 5 to 10 photos. And why am I taking so many photos? Even though I'm a bit of an expert at taking photos on my Android Pixel XL. It's all about the lighting and the clarity. This photo here, it was really hard to get the clear background with the bridge to show the ice without any glare on the screen. So I was constantly adjusting the steering wheel, adjusting my car, taking multiple photos. Taking a photo like this and tapping on various parts of the screen so that the camera focuses and I could play with the lighting so that, everything is clear, the background's bright, the front isn't too bright. These are all the different things that once you start playing around with your mobile phones, you can really master and produce really stunning shots that you can use for Instagram. And I don't even travel anymore with my big Lumix GH4 or GH5. I don't even remember what I have anymore when I go to car shows. I got rid of my Canon 5D Mark III years ago because it was too heavy and too clunky. And I got rid of the Lumix camera. Well, I still have it for my videos, but I don't use it to take photos for social media anymore because it just adds an extra level of complexity to my workflow. Everything I do is on my phones. I want to make it super easy so that when I travel, all I have to do is have my phones with me, extra battery packs, and that's it. I want to be able to experience everything that I'm experiencing as an Instagrammer, as an Instagram influencer, as I travel. I don't want to have to worry about equipment and managing, importing photos and editing and cropping, and everything I do is on my phones. It just makes it so much easier. So let's get back to the pros and cons really quickly. It's really best if you go and check out the blog because, I tend to ramble on these YouTube videos. I'm not really one to talk. I'm a bit of a shy guy. And in order for me to talk to you about this, I'm really just going to go over these and read them over and kind of explain them and see if there's anything, additionally, just like I just mentioned about the Apple Photos versus the Google Drive photos and how I can go through my iOS photo app on my phone after I've taken a bunch of photos, scroll through them, and then, select the heart, which highlights the best of the bunch that I've taken, and then all the ones that are the best are in a folder on my phone, so I know that, when I want to post every day to Wolf Millionaire or Exotic Performance or Mad Whips, that those best photos are there waiting for me, and I don't have to spend time fiddling around. And so that's kind of what I do in my downtime, is I go through all the different photos that I've taken throughout the day, and throughout the day I usually, when I'm out driving around or traveling, take anywhere from like 30 to 50 photos. And of those 30 to 50 photos, maybe 2 to 5 are usable throughout the life cycle of, me Instagramming throughout a day or week. So there's lots of garbage photos that I take. And even though I've taken thousands of photos and consider myself an expert using a phone to take photos, the angles, the lighting, how things translate, the focus, all those things are different every time you take a photo, and it's a different environment. So have fun, take a lot of photos, and hopefully that you find what I have here to say of use to you. So let's dive into the Instagram pros. First off, the iPhone 7 Plus currently is what I consider the best bang for the buck phone. Yes, the iPhone 8 is out. Yes, the iPhone X is out. I don't really care. The iPhone 7 Plus has everything I need. It's big enough. It has the portrait mode. The camera sensor is amazing in low light for both photo and video. And that's it. It's fast enough. I don't need anything more robust than that. Nobody actually needs anything more robust than that. If you think that you actually need a better phone than a 7 Plus, then that's on you, because I can use my 7 Plus to the same degree that you can use your 8 or your X. And in fact, the iPhone 6 is still an amazing phone, has an amazing camera. It doesn't have the portrait mode, I believe, and that's really only a small limitation. But the camera sensor on iPhones have always been better than Androids up until my Pixel XL. And I'll get into that in a bit, because I've really come to use my Android phone as my camera more than I do my iPhone. And that's a really big statement, because the iPhones have always had the best cameras, the quickest shutter, amazing in low light, low noise, with that image stability that really gives you that crisp, sharp photos. So let's see, what did I just cover there? I covered everything about the bang for the buck, the portrait mode, the size of the phone. Again, I really like the size of the 7 Plus over the 6 that I used to have for a couple years. It fits in my hand. The screen is bigger so that you can review your photos. You can review what you're seeing and taking photos or videos of. And I do use one of those finger rings that stick to the back of my carbon fiber phone cases that I use. Excuse me, if you're going to use one of those finger rings on the back of your phone, make sure you buy a brand name one. I'm not going to tell you which one I use just because I don't get paid to do that. But if you go and look out there, you'll find ones that are, $5 and you'll find ones that are $20. Go spend the ones on the $20 that are brand names that you can find at your reputable phone centers, because they're not knockoffs. And they won't break. And I actually lost a phone on a sunroof when one of those phone things broke away from the little base that sticks to your phone. And I lost a phone into a Lamborghini's grill that was following behind me on a rally. So make sure that doesn't happen to you. Don't cheap out when it comes to buying stuff that will keep your phone safe. Buy a good case and buy a good finger phone ring. So what else do we have here? This is another photo that did super well. 9,000 likes, and was just a photo that I took playing around with my camera when I drove to my mom's, which is through the country, and it came out really nice. And for this photo, I probably took anywhere from 10 to 15 photos along the way as I was driving home to my mom's, and this just happened to be the best one that shows everything came out really nice. The carbon fiber, the steering wheel, the road, everything, and it did really well. And so therefore this is what kind of really kicked off me using a weekly point of view photo. So again, just me experimenting, taking different photos, posting what I think is cool, which is a point of view behind the wheel of my McLaren. My followers seem to really enjoy it, and the photos that I post behind the wheel of my vehicle seem to do pretty well. So have fun. This is the whole point of being Instagram, is not to live by your phone to count every like that you have, is to have fun. Because without fun, well, what's the point of fucking living? So let's take a look at iPhone, the con. The biggest thing that I can't stand is the optical image stabilization. I absolutely hate iPhone optical image stabilization. I wish you could disable it. I kind of briefly looked into seeing if you could jailbreak the phone and get into the developer options to kind of disable it, because it just screws everything up. And I can't remember which update came out with it, but I remember updating my phone, I think it was last year or a year before, and noticing this when I was sticking my iPhone out the window and doing some photos, that the photos had a bit of a warp to them. It kind of looked kind of distorted, and I didn't know what it was for the longest time. And then I was doing videos, and while you're in video mode, you can kind of see it live. And so it was a little bit more, provided me with a little bit of insight to see exactly what was going on. And so the image stabilization, the iPhones do not like to have any kind of vibration to them, because it throws off the little gyroscope or whatever the hell is going on inside the phone to keep the image stable during slight movements, using it in your hand, walking, or even just if you're taking a photo, because not everyone has super steady surgeon hands. I definitely don't. And so it's a blessing and a curse. But when it's in video mode and you're trying to get a video and you're moving, whether you're in a car, out a window, even if your window's down and your phone is in front of you, the wind buffering off and inside the vehicle has a tendency to screw up the video or even the photo. And so with that being said, that's a really huge limiting factor, because a lot of the car rallies that I do, the windows are open. I'm either hanging out a window or hanging out a sunroof to take videos, to take photos, and with the image stabilization, it screws everything up. My photos look like shit, and so that's why I'm forced to use my Android phone. The other really big thing, the Instagram con with the iPhone, is that Dropbox, Google Drive, and cloud storage apps, you cannot use them outside of the Apple photo storage cloud. So Dropbox and Google Drive, you cannot access photos or videos in those cloud-based storage apps directly from within the iOS Instagram app. You can on Android. And this is just an iOS limitation. So that right there was a huge limiting factor. When I have all my employees running campaigns, doing posts, and I have to push, images into a shared Dropbox folder for them to use, I don't want to have them to waste time to go into Dropbox app on their iOS phone and, look at the photo, export it to camera roll, go back into the Instagram app, and then use that photo. I want them to use it directly from within the Instagram app, reducing the amount of time and clicks they have to do to get to that content. And that's where the Android device excels, because Android does allow you to directly access photos or videos from your Dropbox or your Google Drive from within the app. So that was one of the second biggest cons. The other thing is I don't like the wolf emoji that the iOS system uses. This is the little wolf that iOS currently uses. The Android one's a lot more fun, and so when I put these kind of emoji stickers on my Instagram stories, this iOS wolf doesn't look as cool as the fun kind of cartoony front-facing wolf that the Android experience has. Now that's just a personal preference. I wouldn't really call it a con, but for me, for my specific use, branding is a huge thing, especially with the Wolf Millionaire brand. And as you can see, my logo is a wolf face head on, so I want to use something that's similar to that, which is why the Android one looks better for me. This is another photo I took on my Android, and even though it says, I posted this in the morning, it was actually a sunset because we're kind of facing west here. This is west Toronto. But all the golden hues and the whites came out just stunning. And if you look at them on my phone, it's absolutely ridiculous how clear they are, even though my phone was an absolute dirty mess. The other big thing, keyboard apps. Yep. iOS has control issues. It really doesn't like when you use apps that kind of steal control or use it differently than iOS wants it to. And so with that being said, my SwiftKey keyboard app, again, that I go into extremely detailed step-by-step to let you understand why I use SwiftKey in my Instagram video guides, is for efficiency's sake and how you can teach it different things, and it makes your Instagramming so much more efficient, and it's helped my team be extremely efficient. And the other thing is the text replacement app, like TextBand, which again, I go into very, very, very detailed why TextBand helps me be more efficient, helps my team be more efficient. And I'm talking like noticeable efficiency. Like it makes my team, between SwiftKey and TextBand on an Android device, it's the equivalent of we're talking 30 to 50% more efficient when you're power using a mobile device to Instagram and post multiple photos a day to multiple accounts throughout the day. And iOS really does not like to give you as many options for customization, whether it's for SwiftKey or TextBand. In fact, there is no iOS version of TextBand, which is a macro text replacement app for Android. There is no equivalent for iOS. iOS has a text replacement option under General and Keyboard, where you can make little shortcuts where, instead of typing out some sentence or some reply, you can put in, 3 or 4 letters. And as you type that out anywhere in, a text message or an email, your iOS device will swap it out for the phrase that you have. But it doesn't allow you to really format it nicely. And on the Android really allows you to format that with spaces and breaks and dashes and emojis, and you can really see what it looks like. And that's where, most of my big captions come from, that are repetitive, is from TextBand, because all I have to do is, put that in the program, in the app on the phone, and then type out, hashtag Tim, and it'll spit out Timothy Sykes's caption, or hashtag wolf, and it'll spit out my Wolf Millionaire thing. So I don't have to type it out or cut and paste it from a notepad or something from within the app. The SwiftKey keyboard, it works very well. I'm a huge fan of it for iOS, but it doesn't allow me to change the size of the keyboard, unlike I can do in my Android. One of the biggest things that I can't stand about the iPhone, and this is again just part of its design, is how fragile they are. I take extremely good care of everything. Yes, I drive the shit out of my car and use my phones every day, everywhere from taking bathroom selfies to in the gym to driving. And you know what? They get banged up and they get thrown around and they get hit when they're in my bags. And I have broken more iPhone screens than I have broken anything ever in my life, from laptops to vehicles. My Android device, I have dropped it probably a dozen times. I've dropped it on concrete, I've dropped it on wood, I've dropped it on hardwood floors. I knock it off my bed. Like it's actually dropped 2 floors in my condo, and yet not a single damaged screen. They're just indestructible. There's little dings and dents on it, but nothing's ever cracked on my Android Pixel XL. The same thing with the iPhone. Forget it. You are talking like whatever it is, a couple $100 to replace that screen at a third-party place, even with Apple Care. It's just a pain in the ass. So that's the only kind of like really big physical downside of owning an iOS is they're a bit fragile. Android Pros. Well, again, I briefly touched on this. The camera quality of my Pixel XL is absolutely insane. These night photos that I've taken with my Android phone, the brights come out bright, the backgrounds come out great. They're really nice to edit in Snapseed. It's really hard to believe that these photos are taken on a mobile phone. Now, you're seeing this on YouTube, and even if you've got the quality of the video jacked up to 720 or 1080, it's going to look a little blurry. First off, I've kind of zoomed in on my blog page, which I'm kind of reviewing right now, and I've taken this from a screenshot from the Instagram app, so it's degraded on degraded, but you can definitely see from the quality from my Instagram account. If you take a look at the photos that I've taken and pinch and zoom up, you can see the quality and the depth and how low noise there is in the phone in these photos. What else do we have? I mentioned the indestructibility. I mentioned the Dropbox and Google Cloud accessibility from within the app on Android. The stability does not have the issue with the stability thing, even though it does have image stability. The Android Pixel XL video image and video stability systems are actually really, really nice. If you ever put your Android Pixel XL into video mode and move around, it seems like there's a lag, and that's just because it's doing a little bit of magic in the background so that it eliminates any kind of jitter. It's the same kind of thing that when you upload a video to YouTube, and YouTube asks you if it wants you to do some image stabilization, is it basically will crop your video to kind of get rid of any motion. So it takes that kind of like motion away by cropping your video, and then taking kind of like an average as you move. It's really interesting image processing, and it works very, very well. But again, nothing beats video like what an iPhone can do. Unfortunately, that image stabilization is a deal breaker for me. This was a video here that I posted on my Exotic Performance account during the Corsa rally. It did 241,000 views. This was a video, and you can go find it on my Exotic Performance account. I think I posted on November 4th. And if you play it, you'll see I was hanging out a sunroof for this. We were going really, really slow. And as a result, 250,000 views on a really simple video. But it came out so beautifully with very little movement and noise and shaking. And I was really happy with it came out. And again, we were moving and rolling. And had I done that on my iOS, even at the 20 kilometers or 20 miles an hour that we were doing, would have resulted in a shaky, blurry, shitty, distorted video. So the Android wins in that system. Again, the Android con, as I just spoke about, the video, it's great, but again, nothing touches iPhone 7 or better, or even the iPhone 6's video. Just unfortunately, we've got that image stability issue that we have to deal with on the iPhone system. So anyways, what's the winner between the iPhone and the Android for me, given my, huge expertise of Instagram and using both these phones from both a workflow perspective and as an Instagram influencer taking photos and using them? Well, it's a no-brainer. The Pixel XL just kills it for me. I've always carried 2 phones. For the last 5 years, I've always been a guy with an iPhone and an Android. Because I just love Android as my phone, as my daily driver. Even though, I have a MacBook Pro and I do love my Mac, the iPhones were always just a little too locked down for me and limiting, as I mentioned, with the kind of, SwiftKey and TextPan apps. And so the Android always had that little bit of flexibility. And then I always would use my iPhone when I wanted to take pictures, but ever since I got the Pixel XL, it has replaced my iPhone for photos. And you can see these night photos, even with the snow and the headlights, like everything just comes out so absolutely crisp and bright and well balanced, and I have to edit them very, very little. The little bit of added saturation and structure that is added to these HDR photos that I take with my Pixel XL come out like nothing else, like I've never seen before. So that's why the Pixel XL is my absolute favorite Instagramming phone in the world right now. Hope this was informative. If you haven't already, make sure you sign up for my free Instagram webinar. It'll teach you all the different ways that you can make money on Instagram. You don't have to have a big following. You don't even have to have a lot of money. Just the ambition and will to turn your passions into a money-making machine using Instagram and all my step-by-step strategies. Take care, and I will get back on these videos more frequently. Cheers.